Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Phantom Frequency, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture, if you will. I am your host, Will. Welcome. We are going to be getting into none other than X-Men 97. That's right, y'all. X-Men 97. Tolerance is Extinction, Episode 8. It's Part 1 to the three-part finale. With no further ado, let's get right into it. So, my overall thoughts with this episode, as with pretty much this whole series, this shit kicks ass, man. I love how we get all into the character of Bastion, get the whole backstory in a very tight and concise manner, and it's not too overly convoluted to where you can't understand it. Because essentially, with the Master Mold Sentinel, it created Nimrod, which infected the techno-organic virus into a man that had obviously got down with a lady who gave birth to Sebastian himself, aka Bastion, who is in part a human sentinel that is now recreating the same type of process and mutation, or mutate if you will, and turning all these other people, including Bolivar Trask, as we saw from the previous episode, into these human sentinels, these like new advanced versions that, like Cable's been warning throughout this entire episode and in the prior episodes before, in Genosha episode 5 and whatnot. You know, this thing is going to bring a whole entire worst apocalypse for them, but a utopia for these crazy ass sentinels and humans that are going on, to where they're pretty much making mutants extinct. So the whole way that that's all unveiled and brought out in the way that they reveal it in this episode was super spot on. I was hoping we'd get a little bit of a glimpse of Storm, which we sort of did when Professor X did the whole "to me my X-Men" thing at the end of the episode, but overall not a big huge disappointment or anything like that. But I was hoping we get to see Storm back in the action, or back in action and back in the fold. But overall, this episode was really awesome. Rogue's out of commission and everything like that. So I love the whole team up with Nightcrawler and Wolverine fighting against these human sentinels and everything like that. And these human sentinels ain't fucking around, that's for sure. And all the action sequences, like with the rest of the series, are just so spot on, so well done. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that. And one thing I wanted to point out too, as just the overall MVP standout of the episode, was the dynamic with Scott Summers, Jean Grey, and Cable, respectively. I loved all of that. The way that their relationship is explored and actually developed within this episode, and the whole way that they all come together in that final chase and everything like that. Once they get chased by all the human sentinels and the Blackbird, and have to evacuate in the cool X-Men in that cool ass X-Men sports car over there, man. I tell you, Professor X got the dough, baby. He got the dough. Man, I gotta hang out with that guy. But yeah, y'all hiring over there? But nah, but yeah, man, it's good stuff. And overall, the episode was just so well done. Not a dull moment in the episode whatsoever. Just freaking amazingly paced, and I liked all the character development with Sunspot as well, with with Diego and all that stuff, and with his parents being so hateful of the mutants and telling him to go along with these crazy ass mutant sentinels, and maybe his mom's been in on it from the beginning. Who knows? Maybe she's one of them and didn't reveal herself yet. We don't know. But all that stuff, the whole episode, just top to bottom, phenomenal. But as we get into the oops.
Apparently, his mutant power includes vanishing from any room I enter.
He's stubborn.
Any word why Bishop's not with him?
All right, so now why don't we go ahead and get into the recap portion of the episode, and we begin with Scott Summers and Jean Grey discussing how Cable doesn't want anything to do with him, and that Cyclops in general is having a hard time adjusting to being a father and trying to figure out how to even approach that, since he hasn't had a lot of time with Nathan, of course, because he got taken into the future after getting infected with the techno-organic virus. And now we see what that will sow down the line, 20-some, 30 years down the line, when he's a full-grown adult, known as Cable, as this guy that's always trying to stop apocalypse and everything like that. And Cable's over here pretty much getting the whole plan, breaking down kind of what this is and what Bastion's plan kind of is, without giving you obviously all the details, but what he knows, and breaking down the reconnaissance and things like that. And Scott Summers himself even says, we need to do more reconnaissance. We need to figure out what the fuck is going on. So Beast and Wolverine and everyone are discussing different details of how to do this stuff. And then Scott comes in and Wolverine teases him about the daddy stuff and all that. And, really fun stuff and everything like that. And as we progress through the episode, there, Cable's explaining about the whole utopia aspect and how the mutants are completely wiped out, and Bastion has completely, succeeded with his plan to merge these human Sentinels into becoming the new norm. You know what I mean, if you will. So all that stuff goes down and becomes really, really huge prominence. Becomes a huge threat, and that's what I love with these episodes in particular is that you always feel the stakes, no matter how big or small or what's going on in these episodes. You always feel the stakes, except for maybe the Motendo portion of episode 4. But other than that, you always feel the stakes in every other moment, every other episode of this show, and especially almost none other better than maybe episode 5 than episode 8 right here. And then you get the whole confrontation with Jubilee and Sunspot and his mother and all that stuff. And she's like, you know what? Fuck you, man. If you're going to be hateful on the mutants and all that stuff and talk a bunch of shit, we're going to get up out of here and go shopping and all that stuff. So they end up doing that. And then Jean Grey is consoling, or, trying to make a psychic link with Rogue and try to, get her back into good health and whatnot and try to see what's going on with it. But they can see that, she's been through a lot of shit throughout her life and is dealing with a lot of grief and pain now after losing Gambit and everything like that. And we now know that Magneto is alive and taken captive by Bastion, and we'll get more into that in the rest of this episode when he makes his escape and all that stuff. But really love that moment. And with Nightcrawler, I love the way he's just always like straight up just like getting into the ethos of every character and just really knows them inside and out. I really, really enjoy that aspect. And I didn't look up the name of the voice actor playing Nightcrawler. I don't know if it's the original one coming back or a new guy, but either way, fucking killing it. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. Then we jump on over to Bastion's hideout where we get the reveal of Magneto all, taken captive there with the whole inhibitor necklace where he can't use his powers and whatnot. And then you get that one girl, that one lady, damn it. Shit. It's the government lady with the glasses from the first few episodes that we figured out kind of betrayed them and was working along with Bastion to begin with, but also was unaware of the Genosha attack. And essentially, Bastion fully explains that no one was aware of it, no one knew about it, and what's her face is starting to feel a lot of guilt about what happened in Genosha to those mutants and everything like that, and the way that the humans are handling it, and the whole way that this plan is coming to be is just really effed up. So they're really trying to figure out what's going on. Jean Grey, Cable, and Scott are meanwhile out doing their investigation, trying to figure out where Bastion comes from, and they track things back to his childhood home where they run into his actual birth mom and things like that and figure out that he's a human and was born as a human and lived a whole childhood and had a whole life before he was getting into all this stuff 92 and prior, building up things slowly and surely with Mr. Sinister in his ranks and all that stuff, building to this moment here in 97 and in the future to come with Cable and all that stuff. So they're over there investigating the childhood home. They run into his mom and all that stuff. And I knew from the get-go, you can't fucking trust this lady because she's the mom of an evil supervillain. And there's no way she doesn't know what's going on because she's like, oh, my son told me you'd come by. And I was like, that's suspicious as fuck. He doesn't seem like he's talking to anybody. He don't seem like he's talking to any family members like that, like in a normal way. So that's where we get to see some of the flashbacks into the past with Jean Grey using the pictures to kind of look into it and all that stuff. And then we jump back over to Bastion explaining how Homegirl didn't know, or how she didn't know about the whole Genosha attack, and him explaining that you got to go ahead and neutralize most of your threats right then and there and hit them where it hurts, and also expose the X-Men with Professor Xavier being alive and all that other stuff, and really show and build up this distrust in the overall public perception and acceptance of mutants, so that way we can strike and really take them out with the humans on our side and eventually phase out everyone and become the natural new norm and imprison and enslave anyone that ends up surviving this thing in any way, as we've seen from the glimpses into the future. And that's where we get some of the coolest cameos in the fucking show. Dr. Doom on the goddamn monitor talking to Bastion, and Baron Zemo, comic book accurate versions of both, and that is so fucking awesome. That's why I've been telling people this is straight up MCU with the X-Men 97. They're blending it together. And as we know, Doctor Doom is supposed to be playing a big part in the old multiverse saga and Secret Wars and all the stuff going on in live action, Fantastic Four and beyond, and all that good jazz. So only time will tell, but that was just such an awesome cameo. I was freaking nerding out, like, fuck yeah, Doctor Doom, man. Like, Baron Zemo's cool and all, but Doctor fucking Doom, one of the illest Marvel villains of all time, one of the top 3, one of the GOATs, that is for damn sure. And then Bastion's mom's taking him around the childhood home, and you get to see that whole creepy ass Sentinel painting that he made and everything like that. Which honestly, in its own right, is kind of some pretty dope artwork. And that's when Homegirl starts to freak out and turn into a human Sentinel and start kicking some ace. And I knew that shit was coming from Jump Street. And then you jump on over to everywhere else where Beast is actually tracking where all these human sentinels are around the world and sees that there's literally millions upon millions of these guys, it looks like, or at least hundreds of thousands. And it turns out that his love interest is one of them as well. And then it's a whole betrayal in that aspect. And they start fucking up the X Mansion big time. Wolverine's kind of holding his own due to the healing factor and whatnot, but everyone else is pretty much just getting their asses handed to them. And let me tell you, man, this is where all the sick action set pieces go down. Freaking Jubilee and Sunspot are over there having to run away from these human sentinels in the mall and things like that. They're about to burn down the X Mansion until Wolverine comes back into action and goes full on God mode on these motherfuckers and starts flying through the air, chopping up fools, chopping up human sentinels and all that stuff. And some of them are able to regenerate and put themselves back together. Some of them doesn't look like it, or at least they didn't show all of them doing that. I'm not 100% sure on that. But overall, super sick action sequence, and then you get the whole team up, buddy cop element right there with Nightcrawler using the two Excalibur style swords, and with Wolverine having the claws, of course. And I love how Nightcrawler comes in with the line where he's all like, "Now you have six reasons to, or 6 ways to chop him up," or whatever the hell he says. It's a cool one-liner. That's all I know. And then they go in and have the super big battle sequence right there. And then all these human sentinels come in and they're about to get overloaded. And that's when you get the sick ass summer sequences. I'm going to refer to it because that shit was rad, dude. You get them jumping out of the freaking Blackbird, flying in the air with Jean Grey, giving them fucking force fields like she's over here, like pulling a Sue Storm. And then, you got them fighting these sentinels and blowing shit up. And it's just the cool little pose with them, all 3 of them together with the flames in the background. Just so fucking awesome, dude. I loved every minute of that. Just super cool stuff, man. And then you get Magneto's full-on escape at the end. And then Bastion's about to fuck up what's-her-name and all that stuff because she let him go. And now Magneto full-on, single-handedly, uses his his master of magnetism, his magnetism powers to take out all of these fools. He takes them all out, like a bunch of them or a gang of them that are attacking the X-Men single-handedly by using some kind of crazy electromagnetic wave. And that's when Professor X also shows up and hopes that he ain't too late and starts calling out to everyone else. That's when you get the little glimpse of Storm and whatnot. And now we're going to get the whole gang back together with Professor X in tow. Magneto's probably going to go off the deep end and go full-on villain mode like we all suspected at the beginning of this thing with episode 2 when they got full-on into the Magneto stuff. So, phenomenal episode. So much cool, awesome shit packed into 30 minutes once again. And I absolutely love this show. We got 2 more episodes to go, so don't be missing any of the recaps we're doing every single week, doing all that. And we're going to be getting into our live-action X-Men review series with the First Class quadrilogy coming up here real soon, leading into, of course, the Deadpool Wolverine hype train. Nothing but X-Men. No, I'm just playing. But we're going to have X-Men content coming at y'all almost pretty much on a weekly basis coming up here in May and beyond, getting into July with Deadpool and Wolverine at the end of that month on the 26th, I believe. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on the channel if you love all that Marvel goodness. But we're going to have music and tons of other content here on the channel that's going to be coming out here in the weeks to come. So make sure if you dig any of that stuff, click the buttons below the video. We appreciate all your support. And if you're sticking around to the end, we especially appreciate y'all. And make sure you're subscribing to all that. Join the community. It's a lot of fun around here. We have a good time discussing this stuff. But much love to you for checking this out. We're going to catch you all again probably this weekend with some stuff, and then we're going to see you again next week with the X-Men 97 recaps and live action reviews. So until then, stay tuned, don't sleep, much love, and stay safe out there, y'all. Peace.